Hey guys, it's Bastian time. Welcome to This Week in Zelda News. I'm your host, Bastian. Let's get to that first story. So first up is a video which comes from a YouTuber who creates a lot of videos that I think people misunderstand the point behind his videos, at least for this particular video, which is called Why the Official Zelda Timeline is Wrong. Now, he's basically kidding. Most of his videos are about things like, how much a gold coin in the Mushroom Kingdom is actually worth in dollars. It's sort of preposterous. It's applying real-world economics, real-world science on video game systems just to basically poke fun at those video games. So in his video about the timeline, he explains scientifically why the timeline couldn't work based on our own real-world concept of space-time. And so what he basically says is that it comes down to the downfall timeline. Now he says that in the many worlds theory, which is sort of like alternate dimensions. For every choice that you make, you create an alternate world or dimension where that other choice that you didn't make happens. So based on that, he explains that, certainly the two timelines, the adult and child timeline, makes sense with real-world science, but the whole Link dying at Ganon's hands doesn't work, because if that had happened, then there was no option at any point for Link to have defeated Ganon. Yeah, I don't know, he explains it way better than I ever could. I'm not a scientist, but he just basically explains why, the two adults and child timelines do make sense scientifically, but the other thing has to be called something else. It can't be a timeline. So anyways, watch that video. It's pretty fascinating, but keep in mind, it's all in good fun. He's not being serious. He knows that Nintendo's word is law, and that of course the timeline is canon. He's just using real-world science to poke fun at it. Next up is something pretty interesting. It's that game Scribblenauts, and there's a version coming out for the Wii U called Scribblenauts Unlimited, of course, because there's a U at the beginning of the subtitle, and I have a feeling that a lot of Wii U games are going to be like that. But anyways, what's fascinating about it is, I've never played the original Scribblenauts, so my understanding of it might be wrong, but basically you can type in things, and then that will, if you type in something that's already been pre-programmed, that will create whatever object that is. Apparently, somehow Link and Zelda and Epona and Agoron are going to make cameos in Scribblenauts Unlimited. And not only that, but there's a new rumor coming along that says that the Triforce, when you type in Triforce, you'll be able to get that as an item. When you type in Ocarina, you'll be able to get that as an item, which is what, if you give to Link, will be able to summon Epona. So, fascinating stuff. It kind of makes me want to go ahead and give Scribblenauts Unlimited a shot. I mean, I was already a little bit curious about it, but now I'm even more so. And our next story is about an extremely detailed figure. It's Link from Skyward Sword, and what's awesome about it is it's posable, and it comes with various accessories, so you can, for instance, change his face to be either like the calm expression or the attacking expression. That was not a very good Link impression, sorry. So you can attach this thing to the sword that looks like the animation graphic for when he swipes it. It's extremely detailed, and it's not that expensive, and it's being released here in America. You might have been thinking, wait, we already knew about this, but yeah, it was only being released in Japan originally, but now they're going to go ahead and release it over in North America, so that's pretty awesome. Did You Know Gaming posted a new Zelda-related image, and it is something that actually, yes, I did already know, but in case any of you didn't already know, I thought I'd figure go ahead and talk about it. And it's the fact that Ocarina of Time was originally going to be basically a first-person shooter. Now, that may shock you to think of not even being able to see Link ever, but that's the case. Originally, they were just going to have it be Link's perspective, and you would probably like see the sword extended out in front of you, basically kind of like Skyrim in a way. And all I can say is thank goodness they decided to pull the camera back and allow Link to be in the camera. And the reason why they decided to go ahead and switch it to third person is simply because after they came up with the idea of having child Link and adult Link, Miyamoto thought, this is too cool that we have these two different Links, and what better way to be able to remind the player constantly of that fact but allowing them to see Link. So that's why they decided to go ahead and pull back the camera. So anyways, that's pretty fascinating. Ocarina of Time could have been extraordinarily different than the game that we all love. And it's also just kind of interesting that lately there have been all kinds of people saying Zelda series should be more like the Skyrim series, or I guess it's the Elder Scrolls series, which thank goodness it's not, and thank goodness it's its own thing, but it almost was. Our next story is pretty bizarre. It's simply the fact that that one of the writers at IGN, who's notorious for his very strong opinions about things, Rich, he lives apparently in San Francisco, or maybe he was just visiting it, I don't know, but the point is, on his Twitter, he took a picture of some graffiti, some tagging that he found, where somebody all over San Francisco has been tagging in very bland, not artistic letters Zelda, which you can see for yourself here. Now, of course, there's the huge possibility that it's simply some gangsta girl wannabe whose name is Zelda and she's just going around writing her name everywhere. But then, of course, there's also the possibility that this is a Nintendo fan or Zelda fan who is just trying to show their love for their favorite series. If that is the case, I would hope that instead of just this boring, not so interesting looking tag, that they would have done like the official, Zelda font in the red letters, or, a couple Triforces or something, the Highland Crest, but this is just kind of boring. Our next story is about a short film which won first place at a short film festival, and it's called Escape, and it's basically about a girl who is a huge fan of the Zelda series and has a lot of at-home problems, life problems, and so she kind of escapes into Zelda, basically. It's very Zelda-inspired. It's really, really touching and awesome. If you're a Zelda fan, I challenge you to not be moved by this, so definitely check this one out. There's a link for it down below. Speaking of Zelda-inspired things, there is a Kickstarter for a book. Now, this book is basically like a comic book. It's a little more artsy, I guess, than a comic book, but the artist behind it is the person who did all of the art for Braid. Now, if you're not familiar with Braid, you should make yourself familiar with Braid. It's amazing puzzle platformer, but it has a very fascinating style of gameplay. There's this specific gimmick mechanic that's just mind-boggling, and then the art in it is just beautiful. I wish that that's kind of what they had done with Skyward Sword. They kept talking about Skyward Sword being like an impressionist painting. Well, Braid really is that, and just make yourself familiar with Braid and you'll find out why I'm gushing about it. But anyways, the artist behind it is a huge Zelda fan, and then his friend is somebody who wrote this article apparently about how they felt like Zelda has been in a state of decline, and so they sort of made this book, or they're wanting to make this book, to sort of show what they feel like future Zelda should be like, or basically a imagination of what Skyward Sword could have been like, because it takes place up on an island in the clouds or something like that. But it looks pretty interesting. I'm not sure if I'm necessarily going to fund it, but take a look and see if it's something that you're interested in helping them bring to the masses. So that's it for This Week in Zelda News. Tomorrow is the This Week in Nintendo News episode, and I'll see you then. Bye.